were introduced to help that. So here's an example of the class. Not really going to get into it much, but it kind of shows what a singleton is. So for Java and C++ programmers, PHP has all the wonderful stuff that you would expect from Java or C++, including private, public, protected, static modifiers to functions or methods. And you can even use const switches in C++ because PHP is built on top of C and C++. Auto look. Java looks for classes automatically, PHP won't, but there's a function called __ auto look, whatever the class name is, sometimes $this, and it'll require everything that's required to make that class work. It's magic. And that's why these are called magic methods, because they start with __ and they do magical stuff that makes it a lot easier for us, the programmer, to get PHP working. So never start anything with __ for a method, and there's more on the manual page if you're interested. So PHP arrays are a way to store lots and lots of data. PHP arrays unfortunately use 4 times the data storage requirement compared to your traditional C array. This is because in PHP our variables hold on to a type and other data, and you have to guess. So we need a place to store all that. So the general rule of thumb is if you have a data structure that's storing, say, 20 bytes of data, and physical memory on the server, you're actually using 80 bytes. And not too much about arrays, but for the built-in PHP array, everything's inefficient. So John, one of my best friends, has a better method using an SPL fixed array, or the standard PHP library. And basically at that link, he discusses the differences and benchmarks the built-in array through PHP with SPL fixed array. And basically, there's times where you want to use the PHP array, especially for smaller data sets. And SPL fixed array works better when you have a lot of data that needs to be parsed by PHP. So now we get into MySQL integration with PHP. Typically we use PHP data objects, but before we get to those, we need to introduce the try to catch, which was introduced in PHP 5.3. Wonderful, wonderful structure, so that PHP won't die if you hit an error related to MySQL. Most websites will die halfway through and output a nasty error to the page. Try catch will allow you to keep moving on, give a nice error message to the user instead of the usual, your MySQL database can't be seen right now. So here's an example of using PHP data objects where we use try and catch. And basically, we have to kill the database connection, and then we echo out whatever failed, or whatever the error was, and that should work. So, moving on to MySQL queries. We typically use prepared statements. A little bit more about that later, or not really, but they go into PHP data objects a little bit. But select star is a wildcard character, which I'll get to in a few moments. But we can select something from users where the user ID is less than 1,000 in this example. Our logical operators can be used in place of that less than for where typical MySQL query. And not really much to do, it just pulls data from the database. The insert, as you're guessing, inserts data into the database. So insert into whatever the table of your database is, and whatever the fields are that you're inserting into, then you type in values, and then you give it a bunch of values. And that can be a comma separated list or a single value. Delete and update queries. Delete will delete from the table on the database. MySQL is structured in such a way that there's your main database, and database which holds on to a bunch of tables. Then you have tables that look like Excel spreadsheets. And this here is just standard query language which can do modifications to it. I just wanted to highlight the 4 major MySQL statements, which are insert, delete, update, and select. The wildcard basically matches everything. rm-rf star will delete everything in the current directory. Actually, I'm going to get the pleasure of doing rm-rf/star on 35 nodes in a couple of weeks, which will completely kill 35 computers. But MySQL also listens to the star, and if you do drop star from star or delete star from star, the database will be wiped out for every table that you have access to. MySQL also has permissions, so never run MySQL queries as root because you can delete everything, including MySQL itself. And I've managed to do that before, which was fun. Assemble insert into your database, take a bunch of variables, and use double quotes so that they're inserted, and just do the insert. Or die. This or die is actually a short circuit operator, and it'll basically kill a PHP script, and most PHP scripts do that. But try catch could help. Notice how we were putting values directly into MySQL. So $password, what happens if we type in another break character? For example, a semicolon, which is a MySQL terminator for the current statement. Well, you're going to get an error in MySQL if you type that into your page directly. And this is where we get into MySQL injections. We can do semicolon delete star from star, and guess what? It'll happily chug along and delete everything that you have access to. I've had a few of those happen to me. So coincidentally, the other day, MySQL.com was hacked by one of their own injections. So MySQL injections are really powerful, and they can do a lot of damage to your website. Luckily, I've never had a huge one that I couldn't recover from. That's why backups are important. But anyways, what we have to do to fix this is filter strings or sanitize strings. So here's the old school way of doing it. We don't really do this anymore, but for information, we trim the right of the string, the left of the string, for any white spaces or anything. Then we strip the tags, which are HTML, because we typically don't want HTML in our database. And then if we have magic quotes, meaning the server protects us from injections automatically and they escape every character, remember the /. MySQL basically has a magic quotes function that adds those automatically to the characters that could cause your drop. Well, if that's enabled in php.ini, you're going to get double backslashes when you run the escape string function, which basically escapes everything that could cause MySQL to fail. So what we do is we take off that layer of slashes before we re-app. And then finally, we return the sanitized string, and that's the old way of doing it. The new way, just filter the var. PHP and 5.3 include a lot of filtering techniques. So filter sanitized string basically sanitizes the string and takes out any vulnerabilities. You can filter for email addresses, IP addresses, and all sorts of stuff. You don't really need to know regular expressions anymore. Then you still run through the real escape string, which makes sure that it can go into MySQL safely, and then you return the safe function, or the safe string for MySQL. Getting information, you can just do MySQL query, which is a PHP function, include the query, and then I use like there just as an example, fill percent sign, which returns anything with fill in it at the start. And then we can do number of results, and then we can do a simple for loop to get through all the values and print them out to the screen. So now for an efficiency problem, when we're trying to get how many rows are in a table, we really don't want to use MySQL num rows because it returns a bunch of data with it and we don't need the data. So MySQL has a count function which will constantly return how many rows we have in the table. MySQL can get at that really fast, so that's the way to do it. And you can fetch the first result, which is the number of rows in your table. And with that, the next topics I'm going to cover is a simple content management system script, which is basically a script that adds text files, how to make it available. It's done me really well throughout the IEEE tenure that I had as their web developer. And I also wrote a picture gallery or photo gallery a couple of years ago, and I'll show that. That uses MySQL a little bit. I also wrote an email application that does mass emailing for a movement I was involved in, trying to get a television show renewed. And I'll also do a lot with WordPress. Probably the majority of the lecture next time will be WordPress oriented. So with that said, any questions for me? Yes?
When you're taking information to an API with GET or POST request, how would you store that in a database?
So you're trying to store an IP address to the database?
No, you're trying to get user information to an API.
Okay, so you're getting information from the user, you want to store that to your table. Just do a simple insert into query. So, simple insert. So basically this here doesn't do sanitization, but once you get your information from the user, whatever it is, in let's say the email variable, what you're going to do is pass that variable through the filter sanitize string function, or var filter. I'd like to know where that was. Okay. You're going to pass that variable email here, and you're going to sanitize as a string, or if it's an IP address or whatever, there's special constants for that. So that may be filter IP, filter email, whatever, it's well documented. And then that could be a sanitized variable, which you can set on this side, pass into the real escape string, and then that will give you a return of the variable here, which is now safe to insert into the database. Then you can come back and you can do the insert into your MySQL database. Does that help?
Why are we doing the first part of this?
What do we do for the first part?
No, why do we do the save thing?
You mean the sanitize?
Yeah.
The sanitize, basically, in PHP, we can have things that may not be perfect for the database. For example, we can have $signs or things that PHP might mistake for something of its own. And when it goes into the database, it might not make it into the database entirely. So what we have to do is we have to sanitize that string, make it safe, and then anything like a semicolon then would be passed into here, get escaped with the / in front of it, then we can send it to MySQL. Does that help? Okay. Anything else? Okay, that's it for me. I'll see you next week, hopefully.